שייך לדיבור המשכיל והארץ היתה סוהו. So this next part of the Maamer is connected with the previous one about how the world was tohu. Shomar Parshas Berashit Tav Kuf Sameches Binyan Tohu V'Tikun. Based on the Alter Rebbe's Maamer concerning Tohu and Tikun, B'shir Hashirim Rabba, Reish Pasuk Yonasi B'chag V'Yasela. So, my beloved is in the cleft of the rock. It says in the Shulei Hagilayon B'shir Hashirim Rabba Mekan Ve'elech from here onwards, Av Shenechtav Behemshech L'Kitzur Maamer, even though it's written in continuation to the Kitzur of the Maamer, V'gam Simani Hasifim L'kam Anem Vav Zayin Chulu, and the continuation of the each paragraph continues the counting of the Kitzur. Eino Kitzur HaMaamer. It's not a Kitzur of the Maamer, Ki Imre Shimos HaSheichos VaPasuk VaArtz, but it's more commentary and notes that are connected to the Maamer of VaHaaretz. So the Kedarko, perhaps it's the chidushim of the Kitzur that the Tzemach Tzedek always has, chidushim in the Kitzur. So this is something similar to that. So back inside, Yunasi b'chagve etzli hem kiyona. So it says in Shir Shirim Rabbah that to me they're like a yona, a dove. Aval etzel of the gilulim kimin chayos. But in comparison to the nations, they're like wild animals. Maybe it's a drasha on the word kechagve, like kechaye, like kechayos. And we can say that this is the concept of in the clefts of the rock, Shehem ha'avos, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, that the clefts of the rock correspond to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, al derech Shpirish Rashi B'Ovadia Siman Aleph Gimel, like Rashi explains in Ovadia. Maybe that that the avos are chazakim kesela, like Rashi also explains on Kemirosh Tzurim that I saw that their shoresh and the avos was hard like a rock. Lavan rach kishoshanim, that they're white and soft like roses, ayde shishonim halachos, because they study the halachos. Ki hayeladim rakim, and the children are soft. This is what Yaakov said to Esav. And who are these soft children? Ze Moshe ve'Aaron b'Medrash Rabbah v'Yishlach Parsha Ein Ches. Basar ksiv v'nirpa, that by flesh it says, then I'll heal you. So I guess that also is a concept of the softness of the flesh. Basarach, maybe. So if you have a maybe it's a mitzora, like a tzaras that's lavan, and basar chai, and it's near pa. So if you have the basar, then it heals. Vayin b'Torah or Parsha Shmo Sof Dibra Maschil called Dodi. And look, it's what it says in Torah or Veitzayu Utelazeh. And the advice for this situation, Mashkasu B'Parech, that they made them work with harsh labor, So again, this is some kind of drasha on rach, yoladim rakim, with the softness of the roses, and the basar chai of the tzaras. V'yesh bo beis pirushim. So how do you heal it with befarich? I guess beavodas perich in avoda. Aleph lashon toreach ulu. First is to toil in avoda. Winyan tikuni amidus kulu. That's the concept of fixing your emotional attributes. Tikun hamidus. L'shanos regiluso v'tivu chulu, to change your regular conduct and your nature. And the second is like it's explained with a soft mouth. So again, perech is the soft mouth with the lashon machalik, like to say nice things and to convince somebody. Ze'aklal, that this is the general rule. That a soft answer rebuts the anger. So there you have another concept of rach, of softness, a meinerach. All of this seems to be in juxtaposition to the concept of the sela, b'chagvia sela. Mishli reish simin tezvav. Betana debeliyahu. Perek yirches shalar reish lamar beis beis bebechai reish pashas veigash reish ches. B'mi ori or aleph reish simin mem beis. So achilik beis suf pashas titzave kuf peizayin aleph. Mem beis reish mem beis rach. B'sefer hadaras melech simin kuf samach aleph b'torah or pashas yisur b'dal b'daf kuf yutes u'madal suf t'ipur maskil zachar v'shomer b'inyan adnai bam. So all of these places, B'Rafa, about the difference between the Rafa and a Dagesh. Like the line over a letter is a Rafa, while the dot in it is the Dagesh. Ki Dagesh mura al haschala, because the Dagesh hints to the beginning of something. Kamayim Razal, like our sages said, Kol aschalos kashos, all beginnings are hard. And whereas the Rafa is not the beginning, but rather later on. So if our beginning is like the Sela, so later on we're soft. Again, this is perhaps connected to the Avos that are the beginning, and they're like a Sela. B'medrash Rabba Parshas Kisisa Suf Parsha Membez Kasha Oref L'Shevach Kshi Oref L'Shevach. So in Bamidbar Rabba it says Kiam Kshi Orefu V'Salachta, that they're because they're a stiff-necked nation, not in a negative way, but we're stiff-necked and we won't budge from the goodness. So that's also like kasha. That's eschalos kashos. So that's not rach, but that's kasha kshe oref. Mal derech ze yesh lomar perush ke eretz balevanon yizker. And similarly, we can say the pasuk that we're compared, that someone who does Torah mitzvos is compared to a growing cedar tree, that it is hard. That's the hard tree. Perhaps he'll bring the concept of the brosh levanon, which is the soft one, the brosh rana, which is the opposite. That's the concept of the maskil eitan. The eitan of the nefesh is the hard. The word eitan means chozek. The eitanimos, the arets, or the avos, again, the concept of something hard in comparison to something soft. And the shoresh of the neshama is the maskil, like the avos or our shoresh. And that's also that strong, unmovable part of our neshama. Vim came avor misham So it's understood and explained from there, not from only the emotions. Do you have this strongness? The emotions meaning the avos and are the chagas. So, but it's not only from the emotions. But even from the concept of maskil, which is the source of wisdom in the nefesh, or in spheros higher than chachma in kesef. We can say maskil zeu makor hachachma. That maskil is the source of chachma. V'sham shayach bechinas eitan v'koshi. That's where you can have the strength and hardness. So as opposed to emotions which are soft, rach kekana, here in the source of the emotions, as they are beyond wisdom, they have a strength and a hardness. We could say that this is higher than the concept of stiff-necked, which because it's the eitan, which is this concept of koach maskil, shupanim, which is the front, not the back. Al yirach levavchem chulu, when we're commanded that our hearts shouldn't be soft when we go out to battle. I guess when we're battling the emotions, we're trying to fix them. Especially if we're talking about fighting the Zayin Umos of Eretz Canaan, which would correspond to the 7 midos. Especially if we're explaining how do you nullify emotions through the chachma, through the eitan, who gamkin mitzad ashras vein sof bechachma. It's also through the dwelling of the infinite light within chachma. Nonetheless, you still can't compare it to the state of nullification in akudim, which is higher than chachma, which is a revelation beyond the 10 spheros, beyond the chachma as well. After Alomar, we could say that the 10 spheros are tied up in it, in one vessel. But rather we could say that this is like the 10 hidden spheros. That there you do not have the division of chachma on its own and chesed on its own. But all of them are included together, just like the abilities of the soul, when they are inside of the soul, in the essence, all is one. That's the concept of akudim. Like we were talking about the level of maskil. If so, this level is beyond chachma, which because it's one. All of these attributes are all as one. It's one concept. We could say, Lefiza hapasuk veheshiv lev avos albanim, that he returns the hearts of the fathers upon the sons. Sheyihu b'zayin tachtonos tamid kvuim yemurishonos, that this pasuk refers to the concept of the avos, meaning the intellectual attributes, that they should be upon the banim, upon the children. I guess the avos are, in this context, are chachma bina, or the ava. And upon the banim, the zayin tachtonos, that the mochin should be in the midos constantly, gimel rishonos, she should be tamid kfuim, set within the emotions. And through this, it will cause the emotions to be soft like a reed. But the heart of the sons upon their fathers, what's Olomar, we could say Shigam Hamayla Shiesh B'zayin Tachtonos, that also the greatness of that you have in the 7 lower levels of the emotions, which is this concept of is the greater strength in the son than the father. That the root of the hardness of the emotions is drawn from beyond the intellect, and therefore that's why the ability, the greatness of the son is greater than the father. The heart of the sons is upon the fathers, above the fathers, gives to the fathers above the intellectual attributes, just like we're saying here as well. So the concept of the avos here, the mochin, gives a softness to the midos, whereas the midos themselves are kasher, but that can be below. It can also be l'mayla yusa, like we said, Shiur l'shevach. V'ayin b'Torah or Parshas Yisro dibur ha'maschil inyan ha'avos. And look what it says about the concept of the fathers in Parshas Yisro. Yashiv b'chinuzu gamkin alavosam. So the children, the sons, will also return this concept upon the fathers. Shebechachma bina ya'ir gamkin b'chinazu matika kadisha chulu. That into chachma bina you should also shine this concept from atik. Al derech maskil eitan, like the concept of shining to the eitan, and if the eitan is the hidden chachma and within keser, so the maskil is to maskil to it, to shine beyond it into it. Ki maskil muchastima ya'ir b'chachma bina chulu, because the maskil. So if we're saying that Eitani Musti Eretz is the avos, the gimel rishonos, in this concept the avos are the gimel rishonos, so maskil le'eitan is the muchastima, the hidden chachma should shine to chachma bina chulu. With all this you can understand only in your forefathers does Havaya desire, meaning to say to be mashpia to them from beyond, from Keser. And this is the concept of the avos or the merkavash in Mailim Chachma Bina Chulu, because they elevate the Chachma Bina upwards. I'm not sure how this particularly has to do with Chachma Bina, and why the Merkava can't be in the Chagas, and why Hein Merkava, that specifically is their Merkava, implies that because they're Maila Chachma Bina, they're even more than Merkava. However, that's what's mashma from this. Leinin Rach Gekana, about this expression, soft, like a reed, Kana Gematria Yosef, Kulmus Gematria Ramach, Kanes Gematria Yosef, and Kulmus is Gematria Ramach, Rish Memches, the mitzvahs. And the Shulei Hagiloin points out Kulmus Gematria Ramach ima osios, Ma'orior. Inami Kane Chachma Kane Bina, or you could say Kane Chachma Kane Bina Mitzayich Im Inyan Gar Chayas Kane. So the Kane could be a concept of Chachma and Bina. And what about we could still ask a question, what about the pasuk Gar Chayas Kane, that to yell at the animal, like the swine that lives in the reeds in the swamp, and it says in the Shulei Hagiloya and Lahayim Zorchi the Gimel Lakutim Tilim Sefer Lakutim talks about this concept of Gar Chayas Kaneh. And what our sages said about Rome, Nats Kana Biyam, that Hashem stuck a Kaneh in the ground in order to build Rome upon it. So that implies that it's a negative concept, whereas here we're saying that the Kaneh is Yosef and Kaneh Chachma Kaneh Bina. But Pardi said Kaneh Perish is Zelu Mazeh Ase Elokim, that this opposite this made the Elokim. Perish Kaneh Mechaber Levu Moach the concept of the kana unites the mind and the heart. That is to say, the mind of chachma with bina, which is the heart. That's chachma bina, kana chachma kana bina. Look what it says about the concept of the kana in the throat, which corresponds with the sar hamashkim, the liquid master of liquids, of drinks, the minister of drinks, of paro. So in the throat corresponds with that hamamshich lichluchis hamoach lalevchlu, that this brings down the moisture from the mind to the heart. And on the other side, like we said, mayim haraim, that this refers to the bad waters, tainugim gashmim, physical pleasures, imkain perishush avte mayim. So what does it mean then to gather waters from shachos al yidei hakana me'amoach, that is to draw down through this kana from the mind? Besason, I guess, with joy, which is the concept of the waters in some ways. I'm not exactly sure how he's connecting tainugim on the positive side as well of kana. And what does it mean to acquire wisdom? That is, so kane chachma, if we're talking about the throat, the neck, so the arich anpin becomes the keser to abba and ima, to the concept of the neck, the concept of the tzavar. Maybe it's osios ratzo or something. Vihine Yisrael Zer anpin midos. Now Yisrael, which in general the term Yisrael refers to za, which are the emotional attributes. Miskashran be'oraisa are attached to the Torah, chachmo bina, which refers to wisdom and understanding. Torah chachmo bina, miskashra bekutshibrichu keser, and the Torah, which is chachmo bina, is tied to the Holy One, blessed be He, which is keser. V'zeu haTorah oz v'toshia, and that's the concept of how the Torah is both a strength and a weakener, or weakness. So you have the kasha and rach in the Torah. Koach l'nefesh elokis, which is the strength to the godly soul. Sharei chochma bina gamkin mochin, because the chochma and bina are also intellect. The brains should start lios tokef amidus elavis baruch, that you have to have the strength of the emotions towards Him. May be blessed. V'gamayde kuchibrichu amir b'torah, and also through the concept of the kuchibrichu that shines into the Torah, nimshachat tokef, that also brings down the strength. Memakor hamidos, from the source of the emotions, shebe atika kadisha. So the concept of the emotions in general are concept of koshi and tokef and chozek. Whereas the hamshacha from the mochin would soften l'chora. Ki abba v'ima malbishim chesed v'gvura, the arich anpin, because abba and ima are clothing for the chesed and gvura of arich. They're malbish zdros of arich. V'zo, inyan kesev, that's the concept of kesev, the midos that come before the beis keser, and then you have the midos that go down to the beis, which is the beis mochin, whereas that's kesev, whereas keves is the beis, the mochin come before the midos. Vitoshiel and nefesh habahamis, and a weakening to the animal soul, machleshes koach tokef midosechlu, that it weakens the strength of its emotions, v'tiya nichna l'nefesh elokis, and it should be subjugated to the godly soul. What does it mean to have tshuva with an extra strength? We can say that Zir Anpin's source is higher than Chochma Bina. That's the Chela Yatir, the greater strength than its source of Chochma Bina. Ein Bir Hazinu Hashamayim Dirush Hasheni. So what's the Shurash of Za? Migul Galta. Keser should be Keser. Comes from the, so to speak, skull, which is the crown of the crown. Whereas, meaning higher even than the Mochastima, higher than the maskil. Shorosh Chachma Bina Mimochastima, and the root of Chachma Bina comes from the hidden wisdom. Ayde Bez Mazalos Venotzer Venake, to the two Mazalos of Notzer and Nake, which are, like we said, go down to Chachma Bina. Notzer and Nake meaning the Chagas and Nehi of Keser. Whereas the Notzar in general would be Tiferes, and Nake would be Yesodin, coming down to the Mochin. Erev in Berekam Yud Gimel Beis Mipnei Ma Zachu Beis Hillel Likvua Halacha Kemosin. So why was Beis Hillel? Why did they merit to have the halacha set like them? Mipnei Shinuchin Valuvinin, because they were soft or easy going and embarrassed. That they were like this concept of soft like a reed. Through the drawing down of the intellect into the emotions to soften them. Since they drew down the intellect, they merited to have the halacha like them. Ki ava the orchozer elokim dafka. Ki abba ve'ima divrei elokim chaim. Dalet aleph ches elokim dafka. I'm not sure what dalet aleph ches is. Specifically, aval ha'alacha nimshech mebechinas v'havaya imo. But kelu ve'elu divrei elokim chaim dafka, because these are the words of the living God. Both Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. That's or maybe he's elu ve'elu is I thought it was avah. But if you want to have the halacha like you have to be draw down from Shem Havaya. Aval halacha nimshach mebechinas v'havaya imo, that halacha she'halacha kemoso, that the Havaya is with him, with Beis Hillel. Kumu b'tiferes mir Shem Havaya. So why is it specifically in the midos then? Because Shem Havaya shines in Tiferes. Because it unites Chesed and Gvura, Merakech HaGvurachu, and softens the Gvura. That's Beis Hillel. That's the concept of Tiferes that softens the Gvura. Misham Shurash Halacha. That's where the halacha is rooted in. The Kavem Tzoi. Shekavem Tzoi. Zeu Derech Yeshara. That's the straight forward path. Like Yaakov is the Kavem Tzoi. The concept of Torah. The Ken Al Derech Zevai Havai B'Chachma. Similarly, the concept of Havai and Chachma. Amshachas Amochin B'Midos. So Havaya in Chachma, to bring down the Chachma into the Midos to soften them, that's Havaya Imo, that's the Halacha Muslim. And then to draw down the intellect into the emotions, Yishlom Gamkin Al Tiferes, that's also to Tiferes Das Mechaber Chachma Bina, where Das unites Chachma Bina, Yaseh Shalom Li. We have Shalom Yaseh Li and Yaseh Shalom Li. You make peace for me, both below and above, also in Chachma Bina, not just in Chesed and Gvura. And then you draw down the intellect into the emotions. that explains there in Hechaltzu to soften the midos, to work with each other, as opposed to the midos of Tohu. Inami, or we can say Tiferes Shurish Hachibur Ma'akeser Shalamayla Gam Me'achachma, through the concept of Tiferes, which is the root to unite from Keser, which is above wisdom, above Chachma, Im Kol Zeh, Nochin V'Aluvin, but nonetheless they were soft and embarrassed. That they were able to draw down from Chachma. That brings down the concept of that Hashem is with them, that the halacha should be like them. So I'm not exactly sure how he connects it with the concept of bringing down the shorosh of Keser above Chachma, but nonetheless being, easygoing. And that's why the halacha is like them. Maybe it's like the inyan of Yud Midas Rachmim. At any rate, because and with all this, we can say inyan Hashem Shalem, the concept of the name is complete. Chibur Yudke and Vavke, unite Yudke and Vavke, and Ukinal Beinyan Veheshiv Levavos Chulu, which is like the concept of to return the heart of the fathers to the children. Your Yudke is the fathers, and Vavke is the children. V'lev Banim Chulu, and the heart of the sons to the fathers, I guess, to unite it as well, from below to above. Therefore, sometimes my children have conquered me in halacha, because it goes from lamata lamayla. The vavke goes up to the yudke. Vayachulu mura al simcha. And I'm not sure what that's referring to. I'm looking at the Torah Softi Parmaschu v'chol banayich. Maybe v'haya is the vavke first before the yudke, so you have the children first. Nitzchuni banai, like is known in the kavanos of v'hayim shemua, vavke coming before the yudke, and that's the concept of simcha. That's a joy for Hashem when the children conquer him in halacha, so to speak, or from lamata lamayla. The midos, I guess maybe they're megala, they're shorish and higher than the chachma. And you have to look in the Kedidon V'chol B'naich to see what it's saying.